What's up, guys? Welcome to the Talking Pigskin Week 5 edition. As always, I'm your host, Kishwar, and I want to begin by apologizing that I couldn't get this video out earlier this week. I had a lot going on, unfortunately, but nonetheless, I'm here now and can't wait to review the next 5 games for Week 5. So, brief recap on the Jets from last week. They just didn't belong in the same field as Jacksonville Jaguars. It was evident from the first quarter. They just went on an 8-minute drive to begin the game, and it was just the end of it right there. Blake Bortles looked like Joe Montana back there, so not sure what the Jets defense was thinking that back there. Hopefully Todd Bowles can turn this around. Still early in the season. Again, I did predict this team to go 7-9, so I'm not in panic mode yet, but I just hope they perform better moving forward. But in other news, I won 4-1 last week, so that's pretty good. So I'll take it to the bank anytime. So we're through the first quarter of the season, and now we're beginning second quarter of the season starting tomorrow. I know already the Patriots Colts played Thursday night, but that was an easy game for any of us to pick. So thankfully they didn't miss a good game. But let's begin with Atlanta Falcons at Pittsburgh Steelers tomorrow, where both teams are struggling to find a win. Falcons became the first team to put up almost 800 yards back-to-back weeks and still take the loss. This is unacceptable. If you're Dan Quinn, you can't allow this to continue. You're supposed to be a defensive genius. You should get that defense rolling. Traveling to Pittsburgh is not going to be easy because Pittsburgh offense is just as explosive. Same thing with Atlanta. Same as Atlanta's defense, Pittsburgh defense can't show up either. So they both have very massive defensive issues. So this game will turn out to be a shootout. But at the end, I expect Atlanta to pull through just because their offense is so high-powered. Pittsburgh will have to match point for point, but I just don't see that happening. Somehow, somewhere, Big Ben will drop off. So Atlanta over Pittsburgh. Next game we have is the New York Jets hosting the Denver Broncos. Broncos coming off a short week from Monday night against the Chiefs and a tough loss, traveling to East Coast, playing an early game. Sure, this game looks like the Jets can finally put it together, but I don't see it happening as of yet. I still think Von Miller will be too much for any of the Jets' offensive linemen to handle, and he will get to Darnold often, and I don't expect the Jets' offense to do much just because the defense is going to be very good from the Broncos. As far as Jet defense, can they do better than last week? Yes, because you can only go up from that putrid performance from last week. So, yeah, you'll have your work cut out against Case Keenum, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and both Freeman and Lindsay are looking good in the backfield of Broncos. I expect this to be a very close game, but I expect Broncos to pull it out at the end. Next game we have is the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Miami Dolphins. Both are 3-1. It's weird. That's how you know it's really early in the season because both of these two teams, goes near the postseason and they just crumble. So, Week 5 they're looking good. Dolphins got dominated by the Patriots last week, but I told you that wasn't going to happen. Patriots weren't going to lose 3 in a row, especially to a Dolphin team who is not that great. They just played better than the mediocre teams that they faced the first 3 weeks. Going up to Cincinnati is going to be very difficult for them. Cincinnati offense is high-flying, just like the Falcons. They have A.J. Green. Joe Mixon will be back. Eifert is out, but they can, of course, lean on to other receivers they have. Tyler Boyd, John Ross. Andy Dalton is having a great year. Not a lot of people are talking about that or paying attention to it. But I think he's going to be able to pull this one through. I don't think Tannehill can match Dalton point for point, so I'm going to give the game to Bengals. Next game we have is the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The Vikings aren't looking as strong. That defense is supposed to be their strong asset, but going to LA and they gave up 38 points. Of course, LA Rams are unstoppable at every facet of the football now, but still, if you're the Vikings, you gotta step up and do something on the defensive side of the ball. Mike Zimmer, just like previous years, he should get this team rolling, but Kirk Cousins needs to play better as well. As far as Philadelphia, tough loss at Tennessee, but they got Alshon Jeffrey back, so they're starting to get some players back. Carson Wentz look decent. I expect them to take a little more extra shot down the field with Jeffrey back, and I expect the Eagles to protect home field and beat the Vikings. And the last game we have is the Dallas Cowboys against the Houston Texans. Battle of Lone Star State on Sunday night. Houston finally got a win last week against the Colts, which, again, Frank Wright blew that game for me. But again, the Texans are struggling very hard. I think this game, because they're feeling good about themselves after last week, they should be able to take that momentum into Dallas. Dallas also had a good game against the Lions last week, but against Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt coming at Dak Prescott all game long is going to be very difficult for them to offset that. And I don't think Dallas has enough weapons like the Texans to keep up with points. So I'm going to give the game to Texans. So there we have it. So we have the Falcons, the Broncos, the Bengals, the Eagles, and the Texans. So let me know what you guys think of these picks. Like, comment, subscribe. And next week, I promise it will be back on Wednesdays. And until then, enjoy week 5.